You know, we have given and given to Pan American since 1980 and have gotten nothing in return.
8 years without a raise, only people on the grounds without a raise.
The management has gotten us into this, and let them get us out of it.
Right now it feels like they're just torn the heart right out of me.
Everybody's nervous about a strike. Everyone needs their job and needs their income.
We don't want to hurt Pan Am. We don't want to strike Pan Am. But we're given very little choice.
People in Miami are fighters.
And I can't see giving anymore, and I'm walking.
They've taken blood out of the stone, basically.
Well, the manager said, get out while the going is good. I says, no. I says, I want to see to the end.
Today, Pan American World Airways is an airline set on a collision course. What changed it from one of the finest international airlines in the industry? Today, Pan Am has the world's worst labor relations. What happened to change it from an airline where employees were proud and where morale was high? Today, after 8 years of scandalous financial losses, Pan Am faces bankruptcy. Out of 40,000 employees, only 20,000 senior people are left. Who's responsible and who shall pay? The company wants the workers to pay. Pan Am Teamsters, who led the way in gaining benefits, must now lead the fight to keep them. They're fighting for themselves and for what all the workers at Pan Am have come to enjoy. They're fighting for their rights. Why must they pay for management's mistakes? Why hasn't management been asked to take a pay cut? These and other troubling questions are being asked in a series of Teamster membership meetings being held from New York to Miami, on the West Coast and throughout the Pan Am system. At the direction of Teamster General President Jackie Presser, the union's fight is being led by Airlines Division Director Bill Genoese and backed by the Teamsters' 2 million active and retired members.
Your job security depends upon growth within this particular company. As George brought out to you,
our people are underpaid. You underpay a sales group, they're not going to produce the revenue, which will affect the pilots and the flight attendants and the mechanics on the ground. And when you turn around and give concessions, you give concessions on a temporary basis. It's been that way since 1981, and the company has not turned around. And the number one cause is mismanagement. Number two cause is beating up on the people. Morale is all-time low. They cannot get the productivity out of the people. Number three, they never had a marketing plan or a sales plan. They're inept in that particular way of running a business.
Pan Am always over the years tried to rely too heavily on just their name only, and did not really have a strong marketing or operating plan. And as other airlines were growing and increasing their revenues, Pan Am always was either flat and never continuously increased.
When a deregulated environment, you can sell your product anywhere in the United States. You can fly any damn place you want to fly to with any sort of equipment, okay? How come airlines, other airlines, make a great deal of money? And how come Pan American can't? Is it because of the Teamsters? Of course not. It's not because of any union, it's because of management.
Well, we lost $400 million 1 year, and our president, Edward Acker, got a $250,000 bonus that year. It's inequitable.
They expanded at a time when the economy was very soft. They paid high interest rates for loans at the time, you know, when loans were very expensive, and that traffic was not there. And they didn't want to listen to anybody's opinion, only their own.
Acker sold off the Pacific, the Intercontinental hotels. He sold off all of our aircraft. We now own none. Everything is leased. So we have no assets. But he got out with a bundle, as did Greeby and Chagreau.
Greeby is a guy that you would have a successful campaign, he would come down and he would shoot his own wounded because they become a tremendous problem. And the baseball thing, Peter Uberoth turned around and said that he did a tremendous amount of damage to baseball, and that's why they got rid of him when they had that long strike over 40 days. When Pan American picked him up, he said they all knew that Pan American would be doomed.
Instead of building up the sales force, Vice President Greeby developed a master plan to get rid of senior employees by making their jobs unbearable and taking away their rights and dignity.
Nobody's at this door. Typical.
They don't care about you one iota. They don't care that they can replace you because the Greeby secret report was to get rid of the senior people. First of all, they take too much money out. Their pensions are getting too high. Their health and welfare...
Part of the Greeby plan was to replace senior people with new hires earning B-scale wages with no benefits, as well as with part-timers and temporary employees. Greeby's attitude was that loyal senior employees simply cost too much.
And I see them as young people, and now they're too young to die and too old to work for Pan American. It's a sad situation where their pension could be in jeopardy, and their health and welfare is shaky, and sick days they're taking away from them, and they're making them work longer hours, and they're persecuting them and not tailing their grievances. It's the approach to beat up on the people, and so they be flushed out.
I never would have believed that a supposedly reputable company would want to take away your pension and your health benefits and cut your wages after years and years of employment.
It's pitiful the way my career is ending. I've seen it from a great airline. We were the greatest cargo movers in the world, but it seems they just want to destroy us.
But it really comes down to one particular thing, that when you turn around, and we had 8,700 people when we merged with National Airlines, and you turn around and you say, how many people are there today? You got 4,100. Where do they all go? Where do they all go? They're gone.
They don't want you there for 30 years or 20 years. They want to get you in and out after a couple of years and go away, don't bother me anymore, and I'll get somebody in at new wages.
Greeby turned around and said, this would be a great airline, Pan American World Airways. We didn't have the complaining passengers and the complaining employees.
Unless they change their management attitudes, way of doing business, all the concessions in the world are not going to save this airline. Absolutely will not save it.
Let me tell you something. There's nobody in this room that hasn't got a problem. There's nobody in this room wants to walk out. And if you telegraph that back to the company, they'll beat the living hell out of you continuously without dignity whatsoever. So
Dignity became a key issue. While dedicated workers were taking pay cuts, management was racking up year after year of staggering losses.
I'm appealing to you. When the company lost in 1981, $259 million. 82, $485 million. And in 1983, $51 million, because that was a bad year. But on the operating end, Acker got his pay raise. If you remember, he worked that year for nothing. And in 1984, $206 million. And in 1985 was a great year because they sold the Pacific for $750 million, and they made a profit of $51 million. 1986, which was the second worst year, was $462 million. These are mind-boggling.
In 1987, which was just last year, they lost $265 million. If our workers worked a full year or 2 full years, it wouldn't come up to $265 million, which they lost in 1987.
I mean, don't blame you. Don't you think they have some responsibility to you? Don't they feel they should have that?
That's not a very tough question. I blame the board of directors of this company that has allowed C.E. Acker and Group to let this company get as far down as it is. And they can blame labor all they want, but you talk about their golden parachutes and their high executive salaries, and that's where the money is.
On January 7th of this year, I met with Mr. Coleman, William Coleman. He's the senior board of directors man. He says, hey, you were right, for the last 6 years, and you were telling us we're doing everything wrong. And he said we were fat, dumb, and happy. And he just sat back there and did nothing whatsoever. And they're really responsible. We're thinking at this time to sue the board of directors and the former officers for what they did to this company and what they did to the employees.
Who built Pan Am? It was the same workers who were now being victimized by Greeby's master plan. The Teamsters had alerted Pan Am's board of directors in July of 1983 that the Acker-Greeby regime was leading the company down the path to financial ruin. By 1985, the company's valuable Pacific routes were sold to United Airlines, and a bitter dispute between Greeby and the Transportation Workers Union resulted in a crippling strike and more losses. 1,500 Teamsters lost their jobs. Yet management continued to sell off assets to raise quick cash. Growing more alarmed, the union leaders decided to organize in an effort to save the company.
And the plan called for the Joint Labor Coalition, made up of ALPA, FEIA, IUFA, and the IBT, TWU, not part of it. And we said that we would cut the then 1986 payroll or the budget by $180 million. We said that we would give you $180 million worth of concessions if Pan Am did probably 4 major things. Get rid of senior management or top management. 2, give the employees stock for their concessions. The third thing was that they would have some LPP or job security provisions in any labor agreement that was approved. And 4th, and probably just as important as some of the others, is that we found in the study that Pan Am needed to restructure its debt. More importantly, again, they would have to get rid of the senior management, because if we would give the $180 million worth of concessions, it would be like giving money to a drunk.
Hello, I'm Tom Plaskett.
The board finally fired Acker and Greeby, but it became evident that the company wanted to push the Teamsters out on strike when new chairman Tom Plaskett rejected the National Mediation Board's proposal of arbitration as part of his 90-day plan.
When I arrived on January 21st, I initiated a 90-day plan of action. We're going to manage our current situation in an energetic and orderly manner.
First thing he did, without even looking at all the facts, he turned around and said, hey, we decline arbitration.
I can assure you that Pan Am is ready this minute to sign an acceptable agreement with the Teamsters.
Plaskett does not want to sit down and talk. And we invited him to our membership meetings. We invited him to any meeting that he would have. We would come. We give him the opportunity to explain. He can't face our people.
In the case of the Teamsters, Pan Am does not want or need a strike.
He doesn't want a contract. They're in desperate shape, and you're going to see they're going to blame the Teamsters when they lose all this money in 1988.
With trust and respect in place, we can move ahead to start executing our recovery plan.
Oh, they made a lot of preparations. They threatened the people. They turned around and they got goons all over. They put their management and hired replacements.
Our first major obstacle is settling the Teamsters agreement.
We don't want to put Pan American out of business, but Pan American wants to put themselves out of business by beating up. We have no other choice but to defend ourselves.
But I can also assure you that if the Teamster leadership elects to call a strike at the end of the cooling off period, we're ready to operate a full and complete schedule, both domestically and internationally.
We have to use the economic action that we need to strengthen, let them know how important our people are. And we're going to continue to do this. And what happens, the pilots are going to lose their job, the flight attendants are going to lose their jobs, the mechanics are going to lose their job, and the ramp service are going to lose their job, the flight engineers are going to lose their job. If we don't get an honorable contract with dignity that all our people can work under, then there is not going to be a Pan American World Airways.
A contract with dignity was not offered. The Greeby plan stayed on the table. The Teamsters were told, take it or leave it. If they took it, they would lose many of the benefits they fought hard to earn in those early years. Workers would work longer hours for less money, with no guarantee of job security. Teamsters would take another 8% wage cut. Management would take none. Teamsters would give up their pensions and seniority. Holidays, vacations, and sick days reduced, health benefits gone. Once again, the employees would pay for management's mistakes. The IBT offered $25 million in concessions. The company refused to bargain. Take it or leave it. The battle lines were drawn.
This is 212-679-5355. The Pan Am strike line at Teamster Airline Division National Headquarters in New York City.
The full force of the Teamster machinery mobilized to rally behind the embittered Pan Am workers. From the national headquarters in Washington, D.C., General President Jackie Presser sent out word to AFL-CIO President Lane Kirkland. Trade unionists unite was the message. 30,000 travel agents were contacted. The press was notified. Pamphlets printed, strike meetings held. The time for discussion was over. It was time for the people to fight back.
The people are the ones who made Pan American World Airways. And all of you people turn around and say one thing: Pan American will always be here. Pan American is on the brink of going bankrupt. When they sell off routes, you're not going with it. If they sell off the company, you're not going with it. Nowhere do they talk about your job security for you. Nowhere do they want to give it to you. You become a commodity to the extent that you're expendable and they don't want you on the payroll wherever you may go. The company admits to this day the strongest people on the property is you people right here. And the gains that we made over the years didn't come from me or these people up on the dais. It came from you. But it really comes down to one particular thing: is this. If you're having a dignity on your particular job, that's a shame of all the time you put in. I'm saying to you that I want to put a motion on the floor. And the motion on the floor should be this: that Miami, as well as every Pan American group, should have dignity and honor. And that you grant the strike vote, and you recommend the strike vote, and to be used in a proper way to get what we rightfully deserve. All in favor of that motion signify by the usual sign, aye. Aye. Wait a minute, that's not loud enough to the New York. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. Case closed.
We will have a campaign letting everybody know it's not the workers' fault, and we're fighting here not just for the workers of Pan American, but every worker in the airline business, as well as any worker that goes to work every day in order to make a paycheck. You're going to have certain people saying, gee, I don't want to fight. I don't want to take this company on. You know, I love this particular company. That's all true, but the company wants to take you on.
It's a great situation that we're in, that we have the backing that we have from our union.
I think they're all willing to go out and fight for it.
We'll strike if we have to.
And I'm all for the Teamsters.
They can't keep running over us, because we are people.
We've been through strikes before, we've made it then, and we'll make it again.
If there's a strike, we will shut down the airline, period.
I will be on the front line the very first day. We have to stand up for what we want.
36 years, I'll go for a strike anytime, because I have nothing left to go back to otherwise.
We're dedicated people, and I think that we can survive.
Certainly, I'll walk the picket line and do the trade union thing. Is what I believe in.
On February 21st, after 30 days of cooling off, the Teamsters were legally allowed to call a strike under the Railway Labor Act. Pan Am's Teamster employees voted overwhelmingly to strike. Right now, they are working under imposed working conditions. Pan Am employees are asking themselves this question: whose fault is it that their company is going under? Pan Am can't raise any new capital because bankers see what management has done to the company, and no new investors will come to the rescue until the Teamsters' labor dispute is settled. Morale at Pan Am is at an all-time low. Service is deteriorating. Travel agents, sympathetic to the workers, see what is happening and are booking passengers on other flights. The future of the company is in doubt, questioned by workers, travel agents, and Wall Street. Now is the time for decisive action. Chairman Plaskett claimed he had a 90-day plan for Pan Am's financial recovery. Those 90 days are up, and nothing has changed. Other unions on the property fell into Greeby's plan of divide and conquer. The Teamsters have not. A strike can take place at any time, but it's the workers, not the bosses, who will pick the time. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters is totally behind Pan Am's workers, and the union is marshaling the full strength of the labor movement on their behalf. The Teamsters' recent success at Northwest Airlines is proof positive of what a united stand can accomplish. The workers' demands are clear. The Greeby plan must go. Pay and benefits must be protected. Unless management's attitude changes, the company will not survive. For Pan Am workers, there is only one choice. Now is the time to fight back, or there will be no tomorrow.